We're going to take a look at the famous mob murder, which occurred in 1929, commonly known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So this incident occurred in Chicago at 2122 North Clark Street. And just to give you an idea of where this occurred, so here's Chicago, and if you consider this more or less the downtown core, the famous murder took place right here in the north end, kind of in the suburbs. So you can see there's a main street along here, and if we zoom in, the location is right there. So you get a better view with the street view. So we'll just drop this guy right here. So you can see that the street itself is it's full with these 20th century buildings, early 20th century buildings, and there's this funny kind of parkland right here, and this is the location where the incident occurred. There used to be a garage or small warehouse right in this location, tight up to get against this existing building, and it extended about as far as just past this tree. So there was a building here, and actually there's an old photograph of it there. So you can see SMC Cartage Company is the name of the business, and that was actually a frontage for the one of the mob gangs' illegal alcohol bootlegging business network. So just to set the stage here, there were kind of two rival gangs. There was the North Side Gang, which was led by Bugs Moran, which is predominantly an Irish gang. Then there was an American Italian gang called the Chicago Outfit, and that was led by famous gangster Al Capone. And they were in a bitter 5-year war over illegal gambling and alcohol bootlegging. You can imagine at this time it was in the middle of Prohibition, and alcohol was a hot commodity in the black market. So what happened here, if I go back to this view, actually I want to show you, if you look at this building right here, this building is original, and you can see that there's two pillars right there. There's actually four, two on each side of the doorway, but there's these two pillars right here. And if we go back to our photo, you can see those pillars right there. And you can even tell the door, the two pillars, there's these two windows above. And if we go back here, door, two pillar, here's the two windows, and then that kind of architectural feature right there. So this is the existing building, and here is the warehouse. So what occurred, there was a meeting that was going to take place at about 10:30 in the morning on February 14th, which was a Thursday, with the North Side Gang. So they had a meeting here, and the Capone guys knew about it. And the target was the leader, which was Bugs Moran. So Capone had his guys waiting in this building right over here. You can see the stairwell. You can see, if we go over, there's a stairwell there, and this was a little apartment complex. And he had some hitmen who were standing by watching who was coming in and out. Here's a photograph. So there's an arrow pointing there, but the business, the SMC Cartage was in here, and then here's that small apartment building that the guys were keeping an eye out. There's a gentleman by the name of Albert Weinshank, who is a speakeasy owner, and he walked into this meeting, and he has a similar stature and dress as Bugs Moran. So the guys um, mistakenly thought that Bugs Moran came into the building, when in fact it was Albert Weinshank. So once Albert came in, the mobsters and Capone side started their work. So the killers had originally parked their car here and were waiting in the building across the street. Two men dressed as uniformed police officers pulled up to the door and knocked. And that's when the guys answered and thought it was a police raid. Now, coincidentally, at the same time, Bugs Moran, who was late for the 10:30 meeting, was apparently walking along the sidewalk to come to the building when he saw the police car there and figured it was a raid, so he took off. And he fortunately uh, escaped from harm as part of this massacre. After the police officers entered, complete with Tommy guns in hand, two other guys came in from the back door. Or the police officers, the guys dressed as police officers, let them in from the back door. These two guys were with shotguns. They had all of the people at this meeting line up. Now, apparently, the four killers didn't know which one of these guys was the actual target. So their philosophy was, let's just take them all out. So they lined these 7 individuals up against this wall back here, which would have taken place approximately right here where my cursor is. So the guys lined up against that wall, and they opened fire. And it was just a bloodbath right against the wall. So the victims, here are the victims. So this was Albert Weinshank. He was the gentleman who was mistaken for Bugs Moran, and he's actually a speakeasy owner. So he was trying to arrange with something to do with the alcohol that was coming and going from the site. Adam Heyer was the gang's bookkeeper. Pete and Frank Gusenberg were I mean, they were the muscle in the gang. They were gang enforcers, so they were there. Um, James Clark, that's actually not his real name. That's an alias. This gentleman's name was Albert Kachalek, and he was actually second in command to Bugs. Dr. Reinhard Schwimmer. It's unknown what his involvement was. He was not part of the gang. These two guys here were not part of the gang. He was an associate of some kind, possibly a financer or something, but he was there for the meeting despite not being part of the Northside gang. John May is really, unfortunately, he was just a young auto mechanic who happened to be there working on the vehicle that they were using for bootlegging. Possibly didn't even know that this was gang related at all. Anyway, these seven gentlemen were just, it was a bloodbath. They were lined up and shot in the back. Here's actually a reenactment of what occurred. And going back to here, so the gentlemen were lined up, they were taken out, then the police officers left, got in a car, and took off. And their identities to this day have not been found. It's an unsolved mystery who these four killers are. There was a car that was turned up, burnt, and they suspect that was the vehicle that they used, the getaway vehicle, but it's unknown. There is actually, I think, with one view here, you can see. I'm able to zoom in. I'm able to zoom in here. There's a line right there, and that is the roof line of the old building that was tight up against here. That building was taken down in 1967, and the only remnants of that building to this day are the bricks from this wall. There's a Canadian businessman who actually purchased the bricks in 1967, and you can see they're kind of circled here. There's just bullet holes all through this wall. This wall is on display at a mobster museum in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, despite not knowing that or confirming for sure who the killers were, it is widely known that of the feud between these two gangsters, and it's widely known that it was a Al Capone hit, Al Capone led hit at least. And this really changed the landscape of organized crime. It was really the beginning of the end. Changed the trajectory of power. You know, people at the time, once this happened, it was all over the news. People had had enough, and the government really clamped down on organized crime. So there you have it, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Illinois.